From a woman repeatedly causing public disturbances and facing sentencing.
What happened on this particular day? I can't tell.
I was yelling. So when they called the police, I was yelling, and while the police was there, I told the girl to shut the F up.
Well, that's the essence of disorderly right there. So,
to a man who kept driving despite an expired license.
Where were you going?
I think I was headed to my sister's house in Three Rivers.
And was your license expired at that time?
Now I know my permit at the time, yeah, it was expired, yeah.
These cases show how Judge Jefferson handles different offenders, starting with Ms. Campbell, who has repeatedly found herself in trouble, now facing sentencing after yet another public disorderly conduct.
Good morning, Ms. Campbell.
Good morning, Judge Wilson. How are you?
When I saw you last on all your other stuff, I knew this ticket was hanging around out there, but I think I saw you on February 10th, something like that. You got this ticket on February 2nd, but they didn't file it with the court until February 10th. So I looked for it, but it hadn't yet made it into the system. It's another Three Rivers disorderly person ticket. It's alleged that on February the 2nd, you were a disorderly person in Three Rivers. We took care of several of these the last time you were here. I gave you a couple of days in jail and you had to go deal with Judge Stutzman. I looked at your circuit court records. It appears Judge Stutzman canceled your bond and you're set for sentencing sometime in March. And then you have another case pending. Does that sound right? Yes?
Yes.
Well, Mr. George, the Three Rivers City Attorney, said, well, this was a separate incident, but we would not object to time served. So let's talk about this.
So can I ask you a question?
Yes.
When I go get sentenced on the March 14th for that case, the case that's pending, I'm still on bond for though, right?
Say that again?
Am I still on bond for the case?
No, judge canceled your bond.
So when I go get sentenced, I got to get another bond for the other case?
Well, you're not going to get a bond. If he may sentence you, you got two cases in circuit court. You got one that is set for sentence in March and another one that's got a status conference pending. But once you plead guilty, you're no longer entitled to a bond. They can leave it. But once you entered a plea, Judge Stutzman canceled your bond. So even if you have $1 million, you can't get out.
So he's going to sentence me on the 14th and I can go?
Well, I don't know what he's going to do with you on the 14th. He might send you to the probation center. He might put you in a treatment program. He might send you to jail. But I don't know enough about those cases to know what he's going to do.
But hypothetically, say he gives me time served, I can go then?
Well, I'm going to give you time served if you plead to this.
Okay.
But I don't know what Judge Stutzman is going to do in March. I just looked at it this morning. Yeah. I wish we could have taken care of this when you were here the last time.
Right. I was sleeping good, Judge Middleton.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Do you know whether or not in the pending case in circuit court that she has a bond for that or not?
Well, I can look. It doesn't matter. If
I know, but it might need to be canceled at some point. Otherwise, she won't accrue any.
Yeah, let's take a look.
I don't want to accrue any time. I don't want it to be canceled.
All right. That's fine. So, all right. Well, anyway, are you willing to plead to this disorderly person charge? You've got 16 days in jail. I'm going to give you 16 days credit, 16 days.
That works.
All right. Anybody threaten you to do that?
No.
Promise you anything?
No.
Do you understand you're going to give up all the rights on that advice or right sheet if you plead to this charge?
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened on this particular day? I can't tell.
I was at Pizza.
All right.
And I was yelling.
What were you mad about?
Because they won't let me use the phone.
What's that? Oh.
I didn't pay my phone bill. I didn't have money to pay my phone bill. And so I went over to use the phone so I could get a ride out of Three Rivers to Campbell the zoo, and they wouldn't let me use the phone. So when they called the police, I was yelling, and while the police was there, I told the girl to shut the F up, and he said, "You're disorderly." And so he canned off.
Well, that's the essence of disorderly right there. So as I said, we knew this was out there,
I
Mr.
didn't
George
know.
and I both, when I saw you last, but it hadn't, I don't know what happened. It hadn't made it all the way into the system. That's under 3 was ordinance 029112. 16 days credit, 16 days, $125 or 2 additional days with the time you're already doing. So this isn't going to result in any additional jail time. And your matter is set for sentencing in front of Judge Stutzman in March, but you have another case that's still pending. And that's the one you don't want him to cancel the bond in that.
Right.
All right. Well, you're good to go. All right, good luck.
Now we have Mr. Lockwood, who stands before the court after trespassing on private property. Let's watch how Judge Jeff handles his case.
Daniel Lockwood. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
I'm not completely clear what this is about, but let's take a look at it. This is People versus Daniel Frederick Lockwood. The file number is 242165SM. Mr. Lockwood got a ticket for trespass. We've been getting tons of these from Three Rivers and Sturgis. The ticket doesn't tell me very much.
Would you like me to explain?
Well, yeah, it says you were at Keystone here in Centerville on December 8th, and apparently they told you not to be there. Trespass is a pretty minor misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to 90 days in jail, up to 30 days in jail, and a fine of up to $100 plus cost, the way this is written. So this was at 10 o'clock at night at Keystone here in Centerville.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what your options are. You can plead guilty, in which case I'm going to give you a $200 fine. You can plead not guilty and set it for further proceedings, including a pretrial or a trial. Either way is okay with me. What would you like to do here?
I like to plead guilty if it was just a fine. I was at Keystone. I had a minor relapse. I didn't show up back on time, but my ex-girlfriend was staying there with her kids. And the car was in my name, so it was too cold to sleep outside. So I slept in the car, and somebody called,
You were
cops
in
that
the
I was
parking
there.
lot at Keystone?
Yeah.
Well, that
I was in my
that-
car, and it was like the officer started. He said, just leave for a little bit. I know it's freezing out. Just come back. The lady, somebody else called and said that I was in there sleeping. Like the lady in charge of Keystone, she didn't even care that I was there. She knew it was cold, and I was up to, I wasn't up to any trouble or nothing.
Well, it doesn't sound like Worth. Who wrote the ticket? Adam Stark. He's working here for Centerville and Constantine. Yeah, it ain't much of a crime. You were struggling. You were in jail. You got out of jail. You
Yeah.
look pretty good this morning. How are
Thank
you
you.
doing?
I'm doing really good. I had a minor setback. I went to rehab. I'm currently got accepted back in the American Axle.
Oh, you really?
Yeah, I had to change my people, places, and things, and that's what I'm doing.
So you're working at American Axle?
Yeah, I should be starting next week sometime. I got my
And
acceptance
you're no
letter.
longer homeless?
No.
I see you have someone bring you here today. Are you off? You're not on paper anymore, are you?
No. So I'm just
All
trying
right,
to
well,
wrap
you
up
guys
all
have all struggled, all of you, even more so after your parents passed. But I'm glad to see things are looking up for you.
Thank you.
But this ain't much of a trespass. I'm gonna reduce the fine from $100 to $25. Anybody threaten you to get you to plead to this?
No.
Promise you anything?
Nope. Trying to stay away from 3 Rivers.
Well, your problems are with you. I'd really like to see you get a job, and a good job like American Axle.
Yeah.
Oh, Laura, I'm out of generic judgments. I could use some. Do you have your driver's license?
Yep.
All right, you're doing pretty good then, all things considered.
Yeah, I'm on the right path. Long fall from grace, but
Yep.
road to redemption now.
You got the whole rest of your life. How old are you? 42?
Yep.
Yep. You got another 50 years left. 755.52. $25 rather than $100 for sleeping in your car. exactly the crime of the century. Yeah, at the homeless shelter. I'm not sure what the deal was, but the total is a 125. All right, this will get me through the rest of the state.
Well, I've got more coming.
All right, thank you. That can go. All right, I'm gonna give you a little extra time to get to work. I'm gonna give you a 328.
Okay.
125. If you need more time, come see us. The goal is to get the fine paid, not to put you in jail. All right, Mr. Lockwood, you're good to go.
All right, thank you.
Unlike in Mr. Lockwood's case, here Mr. Wood, a repeat offender, stands before the court after getting caught driving without a valid license.
Jeffrey Wood, would you come forward, please? This is file 25197ST. People versus Jeffrey D. Wood. You got a ticket on February 1st for driving without a valid license. That is probably our most common offense. At one time, there were 31 ways to get your license suspended. There's probably more than that now. But this is not having a license. You're from Adrian?
Yes.
So what time did you get up this morning to get here about 8:50?
Oh, no. I live in Delton. That's where I was living at, was in Adrian.
You may be the first person to ever move from Adrian to Delton. Those two places are not close to each other.
No.
But, all right, well, let's take a look at this. According to the ticket, you were driving at 1 o'clock, Main and 4th Street and Three Rivers. Nothing else on the ticket, Three Rivers Police Department. That's another, I don't know why they write these under state statute. I know you've talked to the chiefs till you're blue in the face. You have a suspended chauffeur's license. Boy, you're a double tanker. You got quite a lot of certifications. Medical restrictions. So they just charged you with no valid operator's license. And you got a charge in May, which caused your license to also be suspended. So they didn't charge you with driving suspended. They charged you with no valid operator's license. That's a misdemeanor, punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a fine of up to $100 plus costs. Carries 2 points. Doesn't require that your license be suspended, but it will go on your driving record. How do you wish to plead to that charge?
No, not guilty.
All right.
I did talk to the prosecutor. They are going to talk to him about his record so he understands why he's suspended and what he may have to do to get unsuspended this morning.
All right, well, let me make sure I got this right. You are suspended. You got medical restrictions. You got arrested for drunk driving in March, and you pled to impaired driving.
May.
Well, the conviction was in March.
Okay.
There was apparently a traffic crash on May 17th. You also have some truck driver speeding tickets around the country. You also refused the breath test, so you have an implied suspension. All right. If I were the prosecutor, I'd recharge this as driving suspended, which is probably what they'll do. You're suspended. The officer gave you a break and charged you with no valid operator's license, which carries a $100 fine and $125 of costs. So do you want me to set a pretrial for this? I hate to make him come all the way back from Adrian.
Well, he's going to talk to him this morning. He didn't understand why he was suspended. I didn't have the
Well, you're
record.
suspended
I
because
understood why I was suspended.
you refused to take the breath test,
Yes.
and you're suspended through September of 24. And then you have to apply to get it back until met requirements. Then you had some restrictions. All right, have a seat. We'll see if we can get a pretrial. This is Mr. Robert from the prosecutor's office.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Finally, our last case centers on Mr. Fogg, who was caught driving with an expired license. It's annoying how some people ignore basic legal requirements.
All right, Mr. Fogg, how are you this morning? Okay. Come up to the podium. This is a pretrial, and I think I got it right. You go by Orion, don't you?
No.
Orion.
Orion, yes,
All
sir.
right, I have two choices and I always pick wrong. Orion K. Fogg, you were charged with driving with an expired license, no proof of insurance, and you met with the village attorney, Mr. Knopfinger. He's agreed to dismiss both of those charges, including the civil infraction, and you're going to plead to the misdemeanor offense of allowing another to violate the motor vehicle code. I think he explained it, but let's talk about it. It's a misdemeanor, a very minor one. It's a traffic code. It's a legal fiction. The other that you were allowing to violate the motor vehicle code is yourself. But they use this charge because it carries no points, doesn't even go on your driving record, won't affect your ability to keep or maintain your driving license if you otherwise can get it back. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Other than that plea agreement, did anybody promise you anything to get you to plead to this?
No,
Or threaten you?
no.
Well, I might as well go through the rights with you. I got time. Do you understand that if you plead to this charge, you're giving up your right to have a trial in front of a judge or a jury? There will be no trial. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
If there was a trial, you'd have the right to be represented by an attorney. All you could do is ask me, and I could appoint an attorney for you. Now, it says he has a statute pretrial this morning also with Mr. George. No, I don't think so. I'm going to make sure of that. All right. If you had a trial, you'd have the right to have any of the witnesses for or against you subpoenaed to come to court so they could be questioned under oath. You would have the right to take the witness stand and testify on your own behalf, but you don't have to because you have a right not to testify. And if you did not wish to testify, the judge or jury could not hold your silence against you, and you have the right to be presumed innocent unless the state was able to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there's another case.
I think another prosecutor walked in the room and had me sign another dismissal. I think his name might have been George. I don't, a bulkier fellow, older fellow, I don't know.
Older has a different concept. Somewhere between. I think Mr. George agreed to dismiss the city case. We'll figure that out here in a
I'll go
minute.
and see if I can find it.
All right. Anyway, so you're going to plead to this charge. Let me take a look at this. I got to find it. And the lady from Jones on the retail fraud charge was 5 years younger than me. So you can't always tell how old somebody is, but Mr. George is quite distinguished. So I got to do this treasure hunt for your case because it's a pre-trial. So give me a minute. Where's Brownsville Street?
That's in Cassopolis, Cass County.
Well, yeah, they got a Brownsville Street, Three Rivers. There is no Brownsville Street in Three Rivers.
Oh,
Let's take a look. Is that where you live now?
yes, sir.
What do you do over there?
Well, I just live there. I still work in Three Rivers.
Okay. Well, I haven't had any drama from your house in a year or so, and that's all good news. 5 foot. Let's take a look at this. Where do you work?
Clark Logic. I don't know what, there's, I think 3 of them in Three Rivers. I work at the one by the movie theater Shell, the one by the movie theater. I drive a forklift down there, and I also clean like plastic equipment. I don't know how to explain it,
All right,
sir.
well, good for you. That's a poor excuse for a ticket. It was, what do we know?
Mr. George did not have an input into that last pretrial, but he did say he would dismiss his case as long as he's pleading to the state case. It would be one of each.
All right,
One for one, actually.
that'll work. Who wrote this ticket? Well, you were 117.25. Where were you going?
I think I was headed to my sister's house in Three Rivers.
And was your license expired at that time?
Now I know my permit at the time, yeah, it was expired. Yeah.
Yeah, expired in March.
Yeah.
So do you have a valid license now?
Yeah. I passed the test and it's still waiting to come in the mail.
Okay.
So I have this paperwork here.
All right, that must be what convinced him to do this. All right, let me make some notes here. All right, this isn't gonna go on your driving record. So if you now got your license, if you got it, well, you got 2 tickets. You got this one in January. You got the Three Rivers one. That's a 23. That's a different ticket. Drive expired July of 23. You've been expired for a long time. Seems like that one would have induced you to get the other one taken care of. Anyway, eventually you did, so you're gonna come out all right. Fine's $100, $75 crime victims' rights fee, and a $50 state minimum fee, $225. Can you pay that within 30 days?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
I'll like that, due by March 21, 225. All right, you got all your other tickets dismissed, including a speeding. I don't know what happened to that speeding ticket.
I think I paid it.
That might have been defaulted, so yeah, all right, 2. All right, you can use that, you can use a credit card, green cash money,
Thank you, Your Honor.
Belize dollars,
Thank
no
you, sir.
Bitcoin, or you can send a certified check or money order. You're good to go, Mr. Fawcett.